Okay, we are live. Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks here with my co-host for today, Marlene. Marlene, tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Marlene Motivates. I am a life coach, motivational speaker, and I speak on all kinds of positive topics, ultimately helping us to be motivated and inspired to whatever it is that we want to do in our lives.
I'm sorry, were you getting feedback there?
No, I wasn't.
No. Okay.
If
You
you want
stopped.
me to, I can mute my mic.
No. It seemed like
Okay.
it's okay. It seems like it's okay. All right. So guys, um, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if I have Marlene already tagged in the comments, but um, Marlene Motivates, I will put her in after. If you're not subscribed to her channel, please make sure to check her out from time to time. I visit her over there and we do live streams on her end also. But tonight we are going to be chatting about money choices that will help you to take care of your future self. And we were in a mutual friend who is in the chat right now. Um, Daryl, I believe, Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle here on YouTube. And I saw that you were saying that, you plan to be on that fire journey, financial independence, retire early.
Right.
And your things happen. The plan is not set in stone concrete that
Mhm.
it's going to be exactly 8 years and this many months and this many days, but you have a vision, you have a plan, you are working towards it, and that's what matters. Yes, I think I said it correctly. He's putting it in the chat there. So that's kind of, I listen, I put this together kind of last minute. Let me first also take a second to say, happy holidays. I hope everyone has been having a nice holiday weekend, even if it's just time off from work, a paid day off, whatever it is for you, a nice meal, time with family, whatever it is. I hope you guys had a nice holiday yesterday if you are here in the US. So that kind of was the inspiration behind what I wanted to chat about today is really having a plan and being on track to take care of your older self. And if you want to potentially have that option of retiring early, it's just not going to happen. It's just not words. You have to be putting in the work in order to have a plan and be on track and make this happen for yourself. So, Marlene, do you want to touch on that a little bit? What inspired you to be sharing that earlier in Daryl's chat that he was having?
Well, like we talk about all the time, Lisa, it's hard to find like-minded individuals. It's hard to find people. It's not that they don't want the things that we talk about, like investing and finances and retirement and things like that. People want it, but people are more about talk and less about action. So, like you said, it's not just us talking about, oh, I want to retire early, or I want to have this amount in my account. I want to do this and I want to do that. But all you hear year after year is people talking about it, but they're not doing anything.
Yes, and I know for you to be saying a number of years, you're doing the work. You are, we have a real vision. We want to hit certain milestones. We want certain performance. We want, like you've already done. I need to get on board with it, but you
Mhm.
know what you need, like with your mortgage payoff journey. We know the steps that we want to take in order to achieve this. This is not just empty conversation. This is not just, yeah, I want to do that. But what are you doing? What are you doing day by day, year by year in order to get there? Exactly what you just shared is you have to have a plan, a vision. You have to set goals for yourself. You have to be putting in the work. It's not just going to, for most of us, most likely, you're not just going to run into, some multi-million dollar scratch off or hit the Powerball or something.
Right.
We have to be putting in the work in order to take care of our older selves and make these things happen. So that is the theme of tonight's chat. It's a long-term money mindset, having that retirement vision and making those smart choices that will have you on track to take care of you in the future and when you look back, you'll be proud of your own self. Listen, I'm not in competition with anybody out here. I'll take inspiration. We can talk like Marlene was saying, like-minded people, but listen, I'm not in competition with anybody but myself. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to make myself 1% better each day. And I'm on my own journey over here. I'm sharing it with you guys. If you can pull inspiration from it. But yes, I love hearing you. I love seeing what you were sharing and seeing a number attached to it. And
Yes.
just, like you said, like I always tell you every time, if I want certain things, I know that, you're someone that I would look to for certain types of encouragement and certain types, we have the same mindset, or you might have, if you don't have it, you may have a resource or a way to give me that, direction on, what I need help in. Someone that's actually on the same journey and has knowledge and reasonable, information to share. So first thing, let's talk about money mindset. Well, when I was growing up, let me know what your thoughts are on this. When I think back, I don't know at what age, but I used to think $1 million was a lot of money. And I don't know exactly at what stage of life that I started to realize how quickly you could run through that. Once you stop working, once that regular paycheck is coming in, on a biweekly basis or however your money comes in, that how quickly that could go. And we've seen, well, let you talk a little bit on that part of it. At what age do you think that you kind of like started to really have a more clear vision of what $1 million was, how long money could last?
See, I don't even think I didn't even get to a million, Lisa. I think when I was maybe about 16, 17, I thought $100,000. I was like, I'm gonna get myself $100,000 and I'm gonna retire. That shows my youth. I really needed more wisdom and to learn, because I really didn't know how fast, like you said, your money depletes.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I think it wasn't until probably, I would say, 30 before I said, no, $100,000 is not gonna this is not, we're gonna need a lot more.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, have you I know you probably have, maybe you can't name them by name, but I'm sure we've all seen certain, athletes or, famous actors that when they felt like they made it, they were buying houses for their family members and, spending their initial bonus check or whatever. And then when taxes roll around, when all those different things that are associated with those purchases roll around, they then realize that yeah, they weren't making the right choices because they weren't thinking of the long term, of how long, how much you need. Is there any particular instances you can think of a certain uh athlete or anything that crosses your mind of a scenario like that?
No, not a particular athlete, but how I grew up, I saw people around me and I saw people getting older, and I was thinking to myself, like, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to be me. And I'm not saying that to be like against people who are older, because life happens in situations, but I didn't want that I would be in the position to be older and either I was sick or I had issues, some other things going on, and I was forced to go to work because I didn't plan and I didn't take action. I didn't want
Mhm,
that to be me.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm touching on, I agree with you that there's certain people I look to, older people, and I say, yeah, I want to be like that. I don't want this direction. So if I can take, any insight from what's going on in their finances and how they got there, I definitely do try to tap into that. But when when people are spending and thinking, let me just give $1 million home to my mother, my family members. Um,
Mhm.
Instead of doing that, that same million, how about you invest 2 million if you're have it like that,
Right.
and then put in place that you are going to just be living off of the interest, the gains
Right.
from this, and the money that I'm going to invest on your behalf. And most likely, if they're coming from, from the inner city, or just, a regular everyday person, the amount that they would be living off of would be in line with what their earnings would have been if they continued to go to work. But by spending all this money, getting into a home that has huge maintenance and taxes, insurance, the utility bills, then that's it. And then there's no additional income other than that one person in the family that has quote unquote made it. how
Mhm.
how are they supposed to keep up with it long term? So I hope that people start to get knowledge and realize that, and don't put their family members on the spot to do those type of things, knowing that it's not just a one-time thing. There's so many different bills that are going to be continuing to come along with it. So have you ever like kind of thought about something like that? Do you remember back in the days when Oprah did that show and she gave out the cars?
Mhm.
And I think initially when she just from the people winning the cars, they still had to pay $7,000 for taxes and some initial fees, and that might have even been a lot for them. What do you think? Like, is there anything
Yeah.
that you kind of would say, I wouldn't need anything, ex- um, I don't need 4 bathrooms and I don't need a big house. I would probably want something modest. If someone was to give you something, what would you dream of?
Honestly, if I could get anything, it would be things to help me to have a more comfortable life. And like we've talked about before, Lisa, is you and I, we both love luxury. Not that we always dabble into it, but I know I'm a luxury girl. I love brands, I love those things, but I work hard to get it when I can afford to get it. Not that I'm getting it and I'm struggling to have it, but I like luxuries. And I one thing that I had to learn with having that mindset is just because you're there and you can have the luxuries, giving those things to people who, number one, don't understand it. They don't understand how hard it is to get it, to maintain it. And that's why it's essential to have those important financial conversations to find out where their head is at and if they actually want those things or not.
Mhm, mhm. So
Mhm.
I was on with Tashika recently, and we touched on the topic of couples and finance and having your money combined or separate. Can you share a little bit on your thoughts about that? Especially, there's everyone's relationship is different. You might get started off in your 20s and you both have student loan debt and you're very transparent with each other. And then, you're with each other for years and years to come, but you might come together in your 50s later in life and have everything has been separate to that point. Can you give a little bit of insight on just how you think couples, whether it's a romantic relationship or if you even say you even live with your sister or your kids, whatever it is, on, okay, how do we stay, what is it going to look like when no one in this household is able to go to work anymore? What are
Right.
we doing? What is everybody doing in their personal finances, even
Mhm.
if it's not combined, in order to make sure that this household can continue to run the way it is when there isn't that full paycheck? Are you doing something? Is your investments, your pension, whatever, for your Social Security? How are we going to keep this going?
I would say that it's very important to have conversations about financial literacy with whoever it is that you're living with, like you said, whether it's your kids or it's your sibling or it's a spouse or significant other, whatever, whoever it is that you are dealing with when it comes to your money, your income, you need to find out how do they handle money. Do they handle it well? Are they responsible or not? What are some things that you can work on together so that if just if something happens, God forbid something happens to you and you can no longer work, that they're going to be responsible enough to handle it. So having those financial conversations, many people run from it, but it's important to know, like, okay, do you even know how much the bills are? This is how much it is. Having those open conversations and being transparent. Do you pay your bills on time? Do you struggle? Like having real conversations, like, where do you struggle when it comes to money? And then I would say then you would make a decision on how the accounts would be, because you already know if somebody is struggling with money, giving them full access to your money, that wouldn't be the best decision. But if you have somebody and they're very responsible, they pay bills on time, then that's a whole different conversation. Now you could maybe put them on. I believe in putting people on the account, but not having a full access. Like, just in case if something happens to me, you can have it, but you can't, you don't have like the cards to use it, if that makes sense. That's how I feel. If you're in a relationship or whoever it is, you should have people on your accounts, but I don't believe in having full access. You would have money separately and then you have an account maybe together.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. That sounds like a plan, so that maybe the essentials, that you're building the investments, the savings, the utilities, the mortgage, those things are handled. And then if there's anything left, you have that in your own independent account. So there's no hard feelings about certain things that you feel you wouldn't want to contribute your hard-earned money
Yeah.
towards. But yeah, that sounds like a plan. Okay, okay, okay. So I'm going to take another station break. I am Lisa J. Stocks, and tonight I'm here with Marlene Motivates. Please make sure to subscribe to both of our channels. We do things from time to time together. Thank you, Tim, Dr. Ninja, Event Yours, and everyone that has been chatting so far. Philly Life, Girl Dad. Thank you guys for tuning in and chatting. Make sure to give the live a thumbs up and keep on chatting. We need the engagement going on, and hit those reactions and all that good stuff. So what else are we going to chat about? So making your money work for you. You can't outwork inflation.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on people just this is the way I wanted to put it. Like, I think when we earn 60,000, we go up to earning 65. And I know this is harder than ever right now, but keep on living off of the 60, and don't automatically add those things that are going to eat up the additional. Put some saving and investing priority before we are going to be upgrading our lifestyle in a way that is not going to benefit us in the long term. And then we move up to 70, still push to keep living off of the 60. And with that, I think with today, the way things are going with the increases to healthcare and car insurance and groceries that we've been impacted with over the last few years, I think we need to really prioritize getting our budgets back in balance to handle those things and be ready for increases to our needs before we put more money to wants. And then when the needs increase, then obviously we need to handle those things. And then what happens? You're never giving yourself a chance to increase your savings and investing. So what are your thoughts on making your money work for you? What do you give us a formula?
I don't know, really no. Honestly, if there is a real hard and fast formula, I just think you have to look for the things that deplete your money, like what are poking holes in your budget, what is stopping you from saving and investing and things like that, and making sure that you are, like you said, planning for the increases of everything that's going on. So it's really making plans, and also not wasting. I'm heavy on not wasting. Like, and you really don't pay attention a lot to wasting, but I remember when I started looking at my budget about, simple things like go to work, going get a coffee, go get this, get that, just little things, get a bottle of water. And if you do that every time you go to work, that adds up. But if you have plans and carried maybe your own coffee or your own drinks and snacks or pack your lunch, it will be a considerable amount of money that you can add to, the inflation increases.
Yes, yes. Every little bit counts. And yeah, when you think about it, those things can add up, especially if you leave the house often. Um, so I'm usually one with the morning. I'm usually too lazy and in a time crunch to spend the money, but later on in the day, lunchtime, yeah, that's probably when those money leaks can kind of inch in, when I'm more willing to take the time to do it. So I like Daryl's comment here. He said when he met his wife, he started putting $25 a paycheck into a joint account, and that was their first step into building trust on having money together. What do
Hmm.
you think about that?
Oh, I like that plan. I like that
Yeah.
plan a lot. I think it's a good idea to do things like that. Well, I know it's aging myself, but back in the day, I saw my parents, and when they would do bills, they would get the thing to count the coins, and they would sit there and talk about bills and put the coins together, pennies, nickels, and dimes, and talk and laugh about finances and budget and things, so that it was kind of like not a thing to get upset, because when people talk about money and bills and things, it can get a little what is it called, on pins and needles. But I think you should have those conversations and learn to trust each other, like Fire says as well. You have to
Mhm.
have trust in a relationship, because if you don't have that trust, it's going to be a lot of problems later.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And when I was on with Tashika, I was just saying, like, basically, if one person is on track to accomplish these type of goals and is focused on investing, what's going to happen when both people in the couple are in the late 60s? They're going to
Right.
be living off of the efforts of the one that was putting in the work all along. That person may be stuck having to pay the down the debt that person, the other member of the couple, is no longer able to work, and now the bills still need to be paid. So yeah, be in line with uh who you plan on building your life with, so that you're not having to carry them in your old age.
Yes.
Uh, Dr. Ninja has given us an example of someone who messed up their fortune that they had built. MC Hammer years ago. overspending. I remember MC Hammer, I saw it one time, his bathroom had solid gold fixtures. Like,
I remember.
it's just spending, just who would need that? And then, I mean, they're okay. Mike Tyson, MC Hammer, they're okay, I'm sure. They're still living in a gated community, but they could have so much more from the millions that they earned. But you don't know. I was just actually watching something and I jotted it down. This is the last second topic that was added to the list because I know I did send you a message ahead of time. And it was that wealth isn't passed down, through the bank account or through the insurance that you receive. The wealth is passed down in the conversations and the teaching. Because if you leave someone an inheritance and they have no financial knowledge, they're just going to blow through it. They're not going to know, they're not going to have the money mindset that we're talking about here of making sure you have $1 million, you have a whole $1 million, invest it, find out how much you're able to grow it on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. Make a plan. If you don't want to go to work and work in corporate America, you can't just run through it and have it not replenishing and just being depleted. So what do you think about that statement of wealth isn't passed down from just receiving the money? It's passed down through those teachings and conversations that go on from, as early as you can with whoever's around you.
Right. And I believe that because like we've said in previous conversations, Lisa, I grew up seeing my parents and they always were talking about having money conversations. And they would talk to all their kids about money conversations and things like that. Some listen, some don't, but I was always in awe how my mom and dad used to be on board with things and they would have their little tips about things. My mom would say, we need to buy this, and my dad's, no, not yet. And and it would be a little uncomfortable, but I liked how they would always wait and say now, and they would agree and then make purchases or whatever they were going to do for investing and etc. when they would come together as a couple. And I took from that it's important to not only have conversations but plan for the future, like you said, your older self, and being on target for what you want to do. I know for sure, Lisa, when I was younger, I was not thinking that I was ever going to make it to the age of being older and being tired and having pains. Like, I wish that when I was younger, instead of running through my money and wasting it, I wish I had been doing more investing and saving. But, you live and you learn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that, yeah, when they always say when they poll people and ask them, they most of the time people say that they wish they had started with their saving and investing earlier. So, we're not alone. We're not alone in that, but it is what it is. So, Stock Talk David is sharing 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% saving and investing. And I'm sure as a dad that he is instilling that in his son. I feel pretty confident that I could say that. And it's so important, I hope that I'm instilling that in my one minor child that I have left here, that I don't want her to create a lifestyle where, all of the money is going to the car and the rent and everything else, and then there's nothing left. No emergency, no buffer, because yeah, I know, I see it every day how hard it is, because my needs have increased so much. And we're seeing so much more of it with the increases to health coverage. I don't know, when was the last time we talked? I'm sure we were probably talking about the government being
Yes.
on lockdown and all that stuff that we went through. But any recent news or thoughts on increases to healthcare that you've seen lately?
No, I have not. I have not seen anything about that. But one thing I know for sure is that all of those individuals that were affected from the shutdown, Lisa, they have foreclosed on homes, and many were expected to work even through that. I don't know, Lisa. I can't imagine. That's something that how can you prepare for that as a human being that your job is not going to be making money, but you're expected to work. That's so
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I guess we would be more in tune with it if we had that type of job, because I mean this happens. This has happened over and over again. This last time was the longest length of time, the longest amount of days that it was going on for. But I'm assuming if I took on one of those types of roles, I would be prepared for it, not looking back through history. But at the
Mhm.
same time, yeah, most people are not over prepared for those worst case scenarios. And right now, the very first time that I got laid off, within 2 months, I started my next role. Got through the found the job, left the job without had not even applied for the next role yet. Within that 8 or 9 week time span, I applied for the job, went through my rounds of interviews and started the job all within, I would say, not more than 9 weeks.
Wow.
And that is I, that is rare. That is
That's
rare.
rare, Lisa.
And I know it now after being laid off more times after that first time, and just seeing all of these big companies, Verizon and all these big companies laying off so many people. And just the jobs being eliminated. So yeah, I think we need to be severely over prepared. And so it's hard to find that balance. And I've touched on this many times in my lives, just saying that of all times in life, it's the hardest for me to try to find that balance of how much should I have in cash, and how much should I have invested, and just looking back to my personal experience of what I've gone through over the last few years, I wish I had invested more heavily when we were like going through everything with lockdown and the pandemic and all of that, and back in 2022. But I had a mindset of, I need savings. I don't need to have my money invested. What if I get laid off and this and that and the other? But now thinking back, I wish I had invested heavily, and if I had to sell the investments and dealt with the implications of that. Because what happened is I never had to tap into as much cash as I thought that I needed, and I did not. I haven't sold any investments lately. When I've sold any investments, it's just been because I was just ready to cut it from my portfolio, not that I was selling it to take profit. It was basically me selling it to move it into something else.
Yeah.
Um, so what are your thoughts on that? Finding that balance of, like these people, they didn't think that they were going to be out of work for that long. How do you work for yourself personally? I know you've gone through some transitions with jobs and stuff like that. How do you find that balance of making sure that you're able to have savings on hand, but you don't know how long it'll take you to get into your next role?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like you plan for the future, but you never know. Like when you make a plan, you just think, okay, uh, everything will fall in place by at least 3 months or 6 months. But you're not thinking ultimately that sometimes it may take you 2 years, 3 years before things will pan out and balance. So it's just doing, like I said, trying to find those holes in your budget and not that was my thing, is not wasting money by giving away money to friends or family, or trying to live above my means. I guess I could say, staying within my means, knowing my budget, sticking to it, and not feeling bullied to do what everybody else is doing. And it's my personal opinion, not Lisa's, but I think a lot of times during the holiday season, we may feel bullied into giving gifts or doing things that we really can't afford to do. So that's something that I had to come to grips with. Like, it's okay. This is what I'm going to do. And that's it. And if you don't like it, it's too bad.
Yeah, sometimes you do try to be flexible. So I remember one time I was asked to bring a dish, and I was like, I'll make some. I offered to bring chicken because I knew I had plenty of chicken in the down in the freezer. So I wanted that to be the you know the start of whatever I was going to be creating. And they were like, no, I think I would like a ziti or, a pasta dish. I had not one ingredient to go into what the person requested, but I did not speak up for myself and say, I think it would be more in line with my budget if I could have this assignment because I am willing to use these type of things that I have around my home. But, I was in that place where I was like, oh, let me just go and do the shopping and bring what they requested of me. But you can't do that all of the time. And if, like you're saying, if it's family and friends that truly care about you and want you there and understand that they don't want to be any hindrance to your budget and things like that, then that shouldn't matter and you should be able to share things like that. So, what would you have done in that situation, Marley?
Honestly, I think it's important to have frank financial conversations. I'm really fortunate to have good friends that have their head on right. When it comes to talking about things, like, I can say to my friends and my family, I
Mhm.
can't afford that today, or whatever the case may be. I can't do that until next Friday without them getting their feathers ruffled. It's important to have those sort of conversations and not to be upset, because it's like, wait, say for instance, someone says, let's go to the movies, but you're not going to have that in your budget until next week. You said, oh, the movies sound great, but how about next week? Those are the sort of things that I try to let people know, maybe kind of like backdoor them instead of confronting it or hurting people's feelings, because money matters can be very stressful conversations for many of us. But I do think it's important to say those things. But in reference to what you asked, how would I handle it? I would say, you know, um, I'm sure that would be a nice dish, but in my what I have in my pantry right now is this, this, and this. So, what would you like me to bring that's in my pantry?
Okay, based on what I have here, yes.
Based on what I have here, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
this is what I can do.
Um, the way you were describing that about it's in not, the movie is not in my budget this week. I often see posts when I'm scrolling on Instagram and it'll say like, checking balance 50, investment balance 350,000, and like, but you're making your response based off of what is in the checking, that is what my budget is for right now today for entertainment. And some people, they don't have that money mindset and that vision of, yes, I have money, but I don't plan on taking money out of my investments. I don't plan on decreasing my contribution that's going over to the Roth IRA. This is the budget for entertainment and I'm sticking with it. So, um, but everyone has a different way of building things. And, we can't be trying to keep up with the Joneses because we don't know what's going on in the Joneses portfolio. We see what we can see. And, I got criticism one day through someone's live stream. I felt that they were talking to me. I had gone to his open house and I don't have a fancy car, so I'm not going to be pulling up in a fancy car. I'm pulling up in my regular SUV. And when I go to look at properties, I dress regular. I'm going to be wearing sneakers. I potentially could have my hair, pulled up because I'm going down in the basement. I want to see the water heater. I want to see I want to see every meter, I want to go in the attic. I want to see everything. So I'm not trying to dress cute and put on high heels and look a certain way. Um, but I got the feeling that this person feels that you should be, driving a certain car. The status, like my bank account was going to show from the way that I was presenting myself that way. And you can't tell. You cannot tell anything from that, in my opinion. So do you have any additional rental property or real estate other than your primary?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I have
Yeah.
one. And that's only happened because I made some plans. See, how do I say it? When my siblings were thinking about going to college right away, I was thinking like my mom and dad was thinking like, if I ever can't work, I at least want to know I can have at least a little income until I get things situated. That's what I was thinking when I graduated high school. And back in what was like 1997, the prices of homes weren't what it is right now. So it was a completely different situation. But that's where my head was when I was 18 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I keep seeing this statistic that for a family of 4, it costs $1,000 a month for groceries. Um, and I guess I'm trying to fight it, agreeing with it, but it is true. It is true. Um, because I just need to really, face facts. Because when I usually do things like this, I go for my main grocery shopping, which is going to be about $300 every time I go. And then I usually do some extra, like a curbside pickup at Target or Walmart or something for those just specialty like things, like my daughter wants secret deodorant and those, very particular things that I don't necessarily need to buy at Costco in a bulk or something like that. And then, yeah. And then, of course, we might need prescriptions or something from CVS. Once I do all of that, yeah, I'm probably at the $1,000, even though I want to say it sounds like a lot, but I'm pretty much pushing it myself. Um, Not keeping up with the Joneses. Yep. So let me take another break and remind everyone to hit the like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, check out my referral links if there's something that you are ready to add, like a new investment portfolio. I have a link for MooMoo. It's that time of year when we are doing Christmas shopping. So if you don't have a Rakuten account, that is something that can help you to save money. While you're online shopping, which a lot of us are doing right now. So let's see. Guys, drop any questions. Thank you, Kevin, for coming in with your word up there. And drop any questions because we'll probably have a little time to go through them at the end of the live. But yes, as always, a great discussion with you, Marlene. I love your long-term vision. I'm pushing every day, working harder to get on track. But when I think last time when we were talking, I was saying I thought I was there, but then I keep on evaluating and pushing myself harder because I want to make sure that I'm doing the most. And just like I was just touching on, being over prepared is better than, being in the place that we are running out of money and having to dip into savings, having to tap into things that we don't have the intention of touching because of just inflation and those delays that could happen when it comes to your any breaks that you have when it comes to your employment. So
Mhm.
let's see. We already talked about being aligned with your partner, housing. So really getting a little more into detail with that, what kind of conversations would you have with someone, like, as far as long term on, um, like, paying down the mortgage early, travel goals, and things like that? How can you touch on a few things that you might
Sure.
have a conversation with, someone
Because
about?
well, you know how, like I told you before, that as a family, we all put together to help pay down mortgages and things like that. So, we
Let's
have
let's let's take a second to catch everyone else up on if they haven't been
okay.
here for a previous episode.
Okay.
Marlene is how many siblings in your family?
Well, there's 10 of us all together.
Okay, so guys, I want you guys to get a little bit of backstory here in case you haven't been keeping up with our episodes together. So Marlene is one of 10, and her siblings have come together and done something that I think is spectacular. So
Aw, thanks.
tell us,
So, oh, you want me to tell them how
yeah,
we
tell
did
them.
it?
No,
Okay.
that the thing that you've incorporated on going through the siblings and getting them to this
Oh,
place.
okay. Okay. So we do a quarterly check-in, like every 3 months. Like, has anything changed? Have you accumulated more bills? It's important to find out what are some of the holes that maybe are you having a health problem? Are you going through some kind of crisis or something to where your money is leaking that we need to know about, that's going to slow down the process of paying off the mortgage. So we have those conversations about that. Are we on track? Are you still on track? Are you a little behind? Etc. Things like that. It's important because if you don't know where somebody's mind is at, you're not going to know where their money is at because they go together.
Okay. I don't think you that for you guys that don't know, I don't think Marlene is spelling it out for you guys, but what her and her family are doing is going like sibling by sibling and working together to help each other to get every sibling to the point where they are mortgage free.
Right.
And in addition, she just shared something else by doing these check-ins in order to make sure that you're in tune with what, might be hindering their particular family, but you guys are all a family. So
Yeah.
it's basically you guys are creating an umbrella for all the nieces, nephews, grandchildren
Yeah.
that, there's a network for them. And I think that is so beautiful. I grew up, I do have two half sisters that I am significantly older than. But I grew up as an only child, so I have no idea what it is to have 9 siblings and just have that type of network. I always dreamed. When I was little, I still have this dream. If I had a dream that I could make come true, I always wish that I was a twin because I feel
Oh,
like that was going to be the only way that I would have a sibling, especially close to my own age. So I always dreamed that when I was little that I wish that I was a twin, so I wouldn't have had to have been growing up as an only child.
great.
But random has nothing to do with
Yeah.
finance, but you guys just are just getting to know something random about me today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really would love probably to do a whole well, you didn't do it on your own, but, I would love to have a few people on. I know, Budgeting the Bacon and, some other YouTubers have been on that journey. I would love to do a show about, mortgage payoff, and getting that mortgage down. I think, it's the bankroll. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these channels that I'm mentioning. No, not sure. But I just think that is such a great thing. It's the biggest expense for most of us. So getting that off of the table would be a great thing.
Yeah.
You have two for sale, two properties for sale, Tim? What are you talking about over here? Okay. All right. So, guys, drop any questions that you have. We're coming up on 50 minutes, so we will be probably wrapping up pretty soon. Marlene, any other thoughts or things that you want to chat about making our money work for us, and um, maybe the investment calculator? Like, how much do you? I don't know if you want to share real numbers. I do have the this breakdown here. So, guys, I know it's going to be small for you guys that are watching on the vertical, but um, making a plan on how much you're going to draw from your investment account in retirement, like I was touching on. You give someone $1 million home, and that's just money spent and money just you then have taxes, insurance, maintenance, all these different things, HOA or but we have to think, okay, so we create an investment account for ourselves. That's 1.5 million. How many years are we're going to be retired? Things happen. Sometimes you're put in a place where you're retiring earlier than you expected. Say you retire, you have to retire in your early 60s when you thought you were going to be working until your later 60s. Not Marlene, because she plans on retiring in 8 years.
Yes,
but
that's the plan.
but we have to think about these numbers, and they might seem like overwhelming to think $1 million, $2 million, but let's start with 1 million. 1 million at the 4% rule. We have to be thinking, how long are we going to be drawing off of this money, this $1 million? Is it going to be 25 years? Is it going to be 30 years? We don't know how long we're going to be needing it for. So you have to think of it in those small bite-sized amounts so that we can be realistic in what we're thinking. $1 million, drawing upon it over a 30-year time frame, that's only $40,000 a year. So we have to be making sure that we are making our money work for us and grow as much as possible and putting ourselves in the best place so that we can keep to the lifestyle that we are on track for, so that we are making the strides, like we've already mentioned, with getting rid of the mortgage, getting rid of the debt, getting rid of different expenses, so that when the time comes that we are strictly relying on our investments, we can break it down into those reasonable amounts and not think that we're still going to be able to be living off of, if you haven't created that money from our investments, our potential Social Security, from all the different things that are going to be coming in once we are retired. How much is that going to be in line with your earnings right now? I don't know what's an average earning, 60, 70, $80,000 a year. You have to put in the work if you want to continue living that type of lifestyle once you are retired, because it is going to take a substantial amount in order to still be generating that without that paycheck, strictly from what you're creating now while you are working.
And that's what one thing I was thinking about, like at first, leading up to retirement, like how do I want to be living? It's like that depends on whether I'm going to be retiring in 8 years or 15. Like, how luxurious do you want your life to be, or how simple do you want it to be? You have to think about those things. What kind of lifestyle do you want to have?
Yeah. And we have to do our best. We have to sit down. We have to try. I don't want people to just be like, "Oh, who knows how long I'm going to be around for? Who knows this, that, and other." I don't have the answers either, but I know that I'm putting in the work. I'm trying my best. I'm making plans. Like, you don't know if you're going to need a home health aide. You don't know if you're going to be able to drive. I was just talking to a friend recently, and her stepfather is dealing with some health issues, and he, his doctors have said no, he no longer can drive, and so that is an expense and going to be a hindrance, not a hindrance, but it's something that the family is now going to have to figure out. How are we going to go about this? And he was the one that enjoyed going to his granddaughter's basketball game and different things like that, whether it's things that are more important like the doctor's appointments or those little things that he just liked doing. How is he now going to be able to keep up with that? I know my mom, she can no longer drive, so I'm seeing it in my own family. I'm seeing it in people around me. So yeah, it is. It's tying this back to why I started talking about it. It's expenses, unexpected expenses that we just need to try our best to plan for. And I know, like me taking, my mom, she's able to walk, and it's a little bit of effort with helping her out of the house and stuff like that. But but for her to take a medical transport to her appointments, I don't even know how much that would cost. But it's something that I can do. But it's like she's in that place where I can do it. Maybe the Uber driver won't do it, but then the medical,
Transport will.
transport is going to cost so much. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things, like, how do you have to be so prepared for who knows all these different scenarios. But that's why I'm just here. I like to share what's going on in my life, so just to keep you guys thinking and planning and being realistic in what you're doing. And I think that, I see someone put in the chat a comment about, let's see, I thought I saw a comment about they want to learn more about protecting their assets through trust, etc. So yeah, I don't really have too much to talk on about that, but it is important. I've gone to having a will, having a trust. I just said I don't have much to share, but I guess I do have something to say about it. Um, it is important to make plans. Like earlier on, I don't know if you were here. I was saying to Marlene that wealth isn't passed down through your bank account. It's passed down through those conversations, and having a trust and a will and things laid out like that is basically part of what I was saying with that. So that the knowledge is there, the plan, the details are there. I own a multifamily house that I when I purchased it, it was two brothers that owned it. One of the brothers had passed away, and then the brother did not want to be in business with his sister-in-law. But, all this has to go through probate and all this legal stuff that they had to go through. In time, I was able to purchase the property, but, whether it's for you making plans to leave specific things to your family members or something like that, that you're doing with someone not in your immediate household. All of these things need to be laid out. So you need to get in touch with an attorney and make strides to. Daryl is sharing he has a revocable trust.
Mhm.
He talks about trust on his channel. Yes. Yeah, you have to put in the work, but I'm not going to get into any more legal detail on that. But yes, something that you need to do. I know I've been the executor for my father's estate when he passed, and yeah, we have to be ready to have these things detailed and written, and don't wait until the time is when the person has passed and you need to have an understanding of what they specified. At least one time, sit down, read it through, talk to the person about it. I did not do that. I didn't look at it in detail until I needed to. And so I was kind of surprised and taken aback by some of the requests in there, and some things were not logical. But
Yeah.
um, but I did not have the conversations when I had the chance. But
Mhm.
so do you have anything that you want to share on trust wills,
Yeah.
estate planning?
Well, I have to say that, before my parents passed away, you, we don't have those conversations talking about that when your parents or whoever you're responsible for, if when they pass away, you inherit their problems, like their homes and
Mm,
businesses. And I never thought about it until they passed away. Like, what's going to happen to the business? What's going to happen to this? What's going to happen to that? And we talked about everything besides those things. And then it's like, well, I'm not going to do it. Well, who's going to do it then? So you really do need to have those sort of conversations. So, a trust really spells that out. But also, I think it's also important to have the conversations, especially if you have more than one sibling. Okay, mom and dad is getting older. Who's going to do what? Do you want to do this? Because you don't want to get to the situation, trust me, like I did when my parents got older, and then you're having fights. Well, I'm always doing everything and you don't do anything. You avoid those things when you have conversations with your when you're calm, when you kind of get through all of the roadblocks. Like, if this happens, then this is what will happen. You got to have a few case scenarios so one person doesn't get burnt out, if that makes sense to
mhm.
everybody. Yeah, so we had to do
And
that.
thankfully, in your situation, there's 10 of you, so,
Mhm.
um, with that type of thing, you said that your parents are no longer here, but whoever needs help, nieces, nephews, whoever it is, I assume that you guys sound like you have built and have such a large network that everyone should be covered to get guidance. I'm not saying necessarily financial, but just having someone to talk to and guide you and partner with you in different ways when you have those issues, I think is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, guys, it is coming up on an hour. I'm not going to keep Marlene. I always forget to ask ahead of time if she had any plans scheduled, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will tag Marlene's channel in the description in case you are not already connected. With her channel that she likes to use when she collaborates with me is Marlene Motivates. So make sure to subscribe to her. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can have that notification bell on because, you can be on the lookout for something with us coming up in the next 2 weeks or so.
Mhm.
And, feel free after the live to leave comments, questions, if there is anything that we might be able to do in a future show. I love feedback and insights on what you guys want to hear about. And I will be back here 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am trying to keep to having my Sunday time slot. So make sure to tune in for that. But, from time to time, we do have pop-up lives. Marlene, can you share a little bit about your schedule, if there is one that you can let the people know when they can find you on Marlene Motivates or other channels?
Right. Well, on my Marlene Motivates channel, I have shorts that I do once a week. Then I have a long form videos, which is, about 8 minutes. Right now I'm doing a weight loss challenge with myself and Geo Vlogs H Town. So that's supposed to be coming up on Wednesday. But usually my live schedule is Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my usual time.
Okay. Okay. So, guys, be on the lookout for that. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Good night, everyone.